Hello, my name is Maximilian. I'm a taxi driver in Gibraltar. I've been a taxi driver now for 27 years. We are 112 licensed taxis, out of which 95% are 9-seater cars, which what we call the 8+1. The reason is because we can cope with the work when it comes to cruise liners. I can tell you that the Gibraltar taxis are quite cheap if we compare transport in other countries in Europe. The normal rate flag down starts on £2.20, and also we provide the service of the rock tours. People come to see Gibraltar, so we take them up to the rock to see all the interesting parts, especially the famous monkeys, which is the main thing in Gibraltar. Everybody will come up to the rank and say, I want to see the monkeys. They never say, I want to see the caves or I want to see the view. They always say, I want to see the monkeys. The local economy in Gibraltar is based on very different things. We have the military, naval, air force base. We also have shipping, airport, commerce, tourism, financial services, and the online gaming business. A couple of weeks ago, I read that at the moment, we are the most prosperous territory in Europe. To be able to get into the city center, we have to cross the runway, as you can see. This is the actual runway. I could also say that the Gibraltar Airport could be the airport nearest to a city center, 800 meters. The population here, we are about 35,000 people in Gibraltar. We have our own identity, obviously, which is the Gibraltarian identity, but we have the British nationality. English is the official language. Gibraltar also holds its own parliament and its own government. It's a self-governing territory. Many, many times we've shown to the world that we feel British and we want to stay that way, and we will stay that way. In the last 317 years, the Gibraltarian population has developed or created a unique culture, which I think is, I would say, one of the best, because it's the British way of life with a touch of the Mediterranean, which I think is a very good combination. Gibraltar has one border, one frontier, which is with the city of La Línea, with the province of Cadiz, Spain. It's a land border. It's the only connection we have with Spain. We have no air and no maritime connections with Spain, simply because central governments in Spain have never wanted to have maritime or air connections with Spain, just the land border. The economy in Gibraltar is so strong that the unemployment reaches, I think it's 1%. Now, 15,000 people from Spain cross this border every day to work in Gibraltar, and then they go back to their homes in the afternoon, evening. Most of them have told me that it's quite a privilege because they work abroad in another country, but they're only 10 to 15 minutes away from home. Visitors to Gibraltar always ask me, what do you think of Brexit? As everybody knows, Gibraltar voted 96% to remain. The results were that we had to leave. After 4 or 5 years of negotiations, we've left. If it's a hard Brexit, obviously the border will not be the same as it is today. The gastronomy in Gibraltar is based on Mediterranean food. Obviously, having Spain as a neighbor, we also have Spanish cuisine, but every now and then we also enjoy nice fish and chips. We've already done the city area. Now we are on the Upper Rock. I want to introduce the most famous things we have in Gibraltar, which are the Barbary apes, the monkeys. This is one of the big ones. This is one of the big bosses up here. And right here, we also have the entrance to St. Michael's Cave, which we are going to make our way in just now. So let's walk up to the entrance with the monkey, with the ape. We're in St. Michael's Cave. As you can see, just behind me, you've got the stalactites and the stalagmites. We have a light show inside, which goes on every 6 minutes, and the duration of the light show is about 3.5 to 4 minutes. The taxis, when they do the tours, they normally give you between 20 minutes and half an hour inside the cave. So even when you go in and the show has started, you go on to the next round and you won't miss it.
Wild horses in Nashville dance in the saloon overnight. This took even Brampton play in the new year. All right.
Okay, so we've got a visitor. This is one of the monkeys that usually jump on the taxis, and I think they want to say hello. As long as you don't get very near them or you don't touch them, they are perfectly all okay. The only thing is that they are accustomed to having people around them every day, so that doesn't bother them at all, you see? Stay there. Monkeys usually jump on our taxis, as you can see, and if you leave the window open, then they get in and they make a big mess inside because they're very curious and they like to see everything, so they mess everything around. Here I am, standing on the skywalk. This is one thing which not everybody wants to do, depending if you like heights or not. These vessels you see out there, they come to refuel in Gibraltar because the price of petrol is cheaper than most places in Europe. In 1704, when England and Holland captured the Rock, in the 1700s, Gibraltar was under siege by Spain 14 times. The Great Siege, which was the last siege, was between 1779 and 1783. Now, during the Second World War, Hitler had an operation for Gibraltar called Operation Felix, which did commence but was never successful. Now, during the 1700s, Spain joined forces with France. So neither Spain, nor Hitler, nor Napoleon could ever invade or conquer Gibraltar. So it's been unconquered since 1704. And now we make our way into the tunnel. This is the copy or the front of the Treaty of Utrecht, which was signed by England and Spain in 1713, where Spain ceded the Rock to Britain, and the word mentioned was perpetuity, which that word means forever and ever, has no limits and has no ending.
When you're driving to be, none to Elvis, down in Tennessee, good old Tennessee.
Apart from the Great Siege Tunnel, during the Second World War, 55 kilometers of tunnels were excavated inside the rock by the British Army. Everything that they brought out of the tunnels in those days was used to do the runway, the airport. An airfield had to be built in order to get supplies to the British Army in North Africa, and the famous Operation Torch, which was the invasion of North Africa, was planned here in Gibraltar by Sir Winston Churchill and General Eisenhower, who later became President of the United States. This is the Gibraltar Airport. Down here we've got the runway. It's regarded to be the 5th most extreme airport in the world, but I can assure you it's very, very safe because only experienced pilots fly in and out of Gibraltar. As you can see now, the traffic has just been stopped by the control tower and the police officer has just closed the gates for the pedestrians. So an aircraft will land in a few minutes.
I was scared of dentists and the dark. I was scared of pretty girls starting conversations, but oh my...
Life down in Gibraltar, having a frontier with another country, this is something which has been on the news, and sometimes they show tension, but that's only political tension. The people on both sides of the border, whether we here in Gibraltar being British nationals or the Spanish on the other side of the border, we all get along really, really well. We have a very, very friendly atmosphere between us, which is the best thing that any neighbor can have. And so if you hear of any political tension, it's only political. It's got nothing to do with the people on either side of the border.